everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today's video, I'm going to teach you how to paint some hollyhocks, so let's do it. Okay, so to start, I'm just going to go through my materials. I have my Winsor and Newton Cotman watercolors. I have my Arches watercolor paper. I have a Princeton snap brush in a size 10. I also have a size 2 and a 6 with me, and paper towel and water, and we're ready to go. Okay, so we're gonna be painting some hollyhocks by request. Had never heard of this flower before. Someone requested it, but this is what it looks like. So we're just gonna start. Okay, so I'm gonna do this in a very light pinkish peachy wash. So basically these flowers are circular, but like they're like one petal, but they're kind of like wavy edged. So you're just gonna do like a rough circular shape like this with wavy edges, and leave a little white circle in the middle and fill in that flower with your light wash of pink or whatever color you want to use. And they do come in different colors, like that. And there you go. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your darker color of paint, so more paint than water on your brush, and you're just gonna go around that little circle, that white space that you made, okay? And maybe around a bit of the edges, not too dark, just to add a little bit of depth, okay? You can drag some of that color out a bit. Make sure that first layer of the light wash is wet, okay? Okay, and then I'm gonna go back in with some even darker paint. Actually, I want a bit of more of an orange to this. So for the pink, I'm using Permanent Rose, and then the orange, I just have Cadmium Orange. So I'm just making it darker in the middle there. Okay. Just pushing out some of that color. Okay. All right. Okay, so now that's your first flower. Now you're gonna do your second one. Now the trick is you don't want them to bleed into each other, so just, you're gonna do another one behind, but leave a little bit of white space in between the flowers. You don't want them touching, okay? So I'm leaving a tiny white line so those colors don't bleed into each other, even though that one just did, it's okay. You're gonna do your little circle in the middle, fill it in, and you're just gonna do the exact same thing. Now this one is gonna be behind that first flower. So we're just gonna add, sorry, I'm just blending that out a bit. We're gonna add a little bit more shadow right where that first one is overlapping. So first let's drop in our color around that circle area. Okay, go around the edge a bit. Go back in with even more darker color right around the middle, maybe a bit around the edge. And then right kind of beside that other flower, I'm gonna put a bit of the darker pink, but also I'm gonna create, so there's orange in this mix here, okay? And I'm gonna mix it with a bit of purple, so it kind of creates this muted purple that's gonna act as a shadow. So again, try not to touch that first flower. Gotta love those sirens, okay. Like that, just to act as a bit of a shadow, because that one is behind the other, okay? Hope that makes sense. Okay, now we're gonna do another one. This one we're gonna put right down here your wavy circular shape. Again, I'm just gonna turn this around for a second, leaving that white space, that white line in between the flowers so they don't touch. And then you can fill it in. Okay, and then you're just doing the exact same thing. Add a bit of orange, a bit of pink for that middle, and around and the edges too. That one's a bit more orangey. It's all good. And again, because this one is behind this flower, you're gonna add a shadow right underneath, okay? So I'm going in with my pink first, and then I'm gonna go back in with that purpley color to add that shadow, and maybe a bit of shadow down here too. Okay, around the edges. Okay. There you go, there's that one. Okay, I'm gonna do another smaller one up here. Maybe this one might be pointing off to the side a bit, so it's not really a full circle shape. That. Just going around the edge a bit, and then darken over here. Take that purple mixture, just darken over here and on this side. Okay, like that. I'm gonna let that dry. Okay, and then maybe I'm gonna do two more down here. So one here. Leaving that white space. I'm going to tell you why I leave that white space also. One, so the colors don't bleed together, which will happen if they are both white. But if one of them starts to dry, like this one has started to dry already, it's not completely dry. If my water was to go into this, it's going to leave a really weird, funky pattern like this. Okay, and so that was kind of my mistake the last time. It's okay when they kind of run into each other when they're both, sorry. It's okay when they run into each other when they're both kind of the same amount of wet, but when one starts to dry and then one's really wet, I feel like the pattern that you get can be kind of, it just can kind of ruin it. So if that does happen, don't beat yourself up. Happened to me. Just try again. Or try and cover it up if you can. But you live and you learn. That's just how it goes. Okay. So there's that one. I'm going to do one more over here. This one I think is going to be darker just because it's kind of behind two other ones. I'm trying to just be really careful not to touch the other flowers, even though it touched right there. Nah, it's fine. Okay, so that purple and orange is acting like a pretty nice shadow. It's not too muddy. It still has that tinge of purple to it, which I really like. It's like a muted mauve color when you add that purple. I'm putting that pink in there. Like that. There we go. Okay, so we kind of have our stack of flowers. I am gonna add more detail once those dry. But now we are going to add the stock stem thing that comes out. Yes, okay. So I'm gonna take my green. I'm gonna be using sap green for this. I'm gonna actually add a bit of purple. And I'm going to, oopsie, now see that one was starting to dry and it touched. It's all good. Just try and be careful. Okay, I'm gonna create this little stalk, this little bean stalk almost. I'm gonna try and put one down here too. Hopefully it's dry. And then you're just gonna kind of create these buds on top. A little line and a bud. A little line. Actually, okay. And a bud. Little line and a bud. Little line and a bud. Like that. Now see, I'm starting to get that funky pattern there because this one is starting to dry and it's starting to, oops, and then I ruined that part. It's all good. If you had more patience, you could wait, but me, I do not have that, so I just like to keep going and make a mess of things apparently. I'm gonna take some purple and mix it with my Hooker's Green dark color just to get a bit of a darker green. I'm gonna drop it in on some of these buds here. Okay, like that. And now, before we do anything else, we are gonna let this fully dry. Okay, so now that it's dry, you're gonna take your smaller detail brush and you're gonna take a really light wash of one of those colors that you used, and because it's dry, it's gonna create a layer on top. So what you're gonna do is you are just going to create some lines around the middle, just little lines going out. A light wash is good. You don't need anything too dark because it will show up. Some longer, some shorter. Okay. Okay, like that. And then I actually might take some green because there's a bit of green around the center of these, and make sure this is completely dry before you do this. But they have this green kind of center. And then it will kind of go into a yellow. So do your green first. Like that. This one's a little dark. Whoopsie. Gonna lift that up a bit. And then you're going to take your yellow, you can plop it in the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to actually take some of this dark kind of shadow color we used and put some darkness around where those shadow bits are. So the ones that are kind of underneath. You can even take a really light wash of that and just create more of a shadow. Okay, but it has to be a really light wash. You don't want a really dark purple shadow underneath. Okay, so more water. Then paint, but get that little purple tinge. And then what you can do is you can just wash off your brush completely and just drag it out. Okay, and it just blends it out for you. Just to darken up those areas a bit. Okay. Then you can take that kind of grayish purple and just do some creases in those petals. Really, really light wash, okay? Perfect that light wash. You don't want any of this to be too harsh. You don't want these really harsh lines. So really light pressure and a light wash of that purple. Just creating creases. In those petals. Okay. And there you go. There is your hollyhock flower. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram for more. Have a great day, guys. Bye.